Hey there, folks. Gip Erskine here, values-driven coaching, and thank you for joining me on this video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the hidden costs of winning the wrong business. Now, it may sound contrary to popular belief, but not every single win actually results in more growth. And what I'm talking about is that when you win business, that forced you to sharpen your pencil and to squeeze your team and to squeeze your margins down to the bone, down to the nub, down to where it's just market share. It happens to be revenue, but doesn't result in profit. That's what I'm talking about here. There are huge hidden costs that we're getting ready to review right now. So let's jump into this whole argument here, because I want you to understand that winning the wrong business can actually cost more than winning the right business or losing the right business. So let's talk about how to make value visible and reposition yourself to start winning the right business. So what is the question? What if the business you won is the business that's holding your company back? So imagine yourself winning the wrong business that produces more activity but it also creates more problems and squeezes the margins down and provides less team capacity, less bandwidth, and then you have less momentum. You know those shiny objects which on day one, they look fantastic. You just wanted to oh my God, I got an opportunity. Didn't really cost me anything. I can apply to this. I can respond. I can propose. I can bid. I can quote. And maybe this will be my lucky day. And maybe if my price is low enough, they'll recognize me and award business to me. So just realize that a signed contract is not automatically a successful outcome. So we'll talk about all the different things that go into what is wrong about your business and what's right about the business that you want here. So let's not start, doing a victory lap already. When there's a false victory, you take a look at the instant dopamine hit of income and market share. So we're now that much bigger. But if you play like Walmart, you can be big, but you got to make it up on volume because your profit margins are that thin. So, revenue is tempting. Commissions are tempting. It's all business, seems like good business, but true profitability, true burdens that are inherited from stretching your team so thin, true mismatch of cultures that don't really fit and don't fit your long-term vision. Think about the management demands, the squeaky wheels that you never really anticipated when you shook hands. And what are the opportunity costs that are now being invested into something that we call a victory when they could be invested into something that we call the right business? So just think about and realize that not all revenue strengthens your business. So let's think about the three dimensions of fit. What are the three primary drivers of what is the right business? So what makes it right for you? And it's really your definition. But we take a look at three primary buckets. There's the right client, and that right client is the right person and the right company that person's employed by. Is it a management company that's got the right reputation? Is it the person who's got the right reputation, the right skills to actually see past price and look at your totality of value? Is it the right property? Is it in that geographic sweet spot of yours that you've defined based upon your current book of business and where you want to serve your people best? Is it the right opportunity? Is it a timing issue? Is there scope mismatches? Is it a pricing game? Is it just kind of a market check? What are the expectations that make sense for your business? So let's take a look at what the wrong client is. When the client is the problem, then you start to see the telltale signs of it. If it's the wrong person, the person who's employed by the property management company, are they petty-minded? Are they inexperienced? Are they always dissatisfied? They can never really be, won over. Are they disrespectful? Are they quick to blame you? Things roll downhill, and sometimes we're on the receiving end of everything uphill from us. Are they slow to collaborate? Which is important because in your journey towards service partnership, if you don't have collaboration, if you don't have joint, you know, alignment of vision and ideas, if you don't have open-mindedness and an open space to actually say, you know what, I think there's a better way here and it looks like this, then that could be the wrong individual. Now let's take a look at their employer, the PMC. So PMCs come in all shapes and sizes. Just because you're big doesn't mean you're the best. Who is it that you want to align with? Who is it whose logo looks good on your brochure and website? So the wrong PMC has a pretty bad reputation. You know them. You hope to avoid working for them. If you get an RFP from them, you kind of stutter and you kind of wonder whether or not you should do it. Maybe things have changed. Okay, well, who knew? Let's see. Maybe some leadership changes. Maybe they're turning the page on that. Are they the kind that even though there's a signed agreement, they just want to renegotiate every single deal? Are they the ones that are just known for cheap? They reward cheap. They honor cheap. They look for cheap, and they look to try and get as much out of it as possible, squeezing the blood out of the turnip. Do they tolerate abusive behavior? No human should need to actually be okay with an environment that belittles them. And do they treat service providers as replaceable and disposable commodities? Those are the symptoms and the telltale signs of the wrong client. How about the wrong property? You know, we think that that's a good one, but is it really, you know, outside our geographic sweet spot? Is it just going to take an extra 15 minutes without traffic to get there, or 30 minutes or an hour? Think about the drive time. Think about the property type that, like, well, we've never quite done that, but we're ready to kind of like expand into that property type. Is it a MOB or a hospital or something that's just like, we could, but it has certain implications. And I'm not saying those are bad properties. I'm just saying, do they possess the right fit based upon your current book of business and the desirability of the clients that you want to expand with? Other telltale signs of the wrong property is insufficient property size. If it's just not big enough to, you know, float the note and be able to really be on the receiving end of your highest quality service that you can, you know, staff adequately and do during the normal course of your workday, and there aren't any unrealistic tenant expectations, if the actual true value of your service delivery actually exceeds the size of the property, then you may want to think twice. So, you know, a distant or awkward property, when I see myself over that word, I'm sorry about that, but let me see if I can move me around here. Maybe not. I went backwards. Sorry. Well, an awkward property can consume a lot of your time. So supervisory time, transportation costs, response times, team energy, and don't forget their attitude. Attitudes tend to dwindle when teams are spread too thin. And obviously profit margins suffer throughout that. So a good client cannot always overcome a bad operational fit. So you can have a good client, but if you have the wrong property, then it's kind of like, it's really hard to make this thing work just because you want to serve this particular master. Let's talk about the wrong opportunity. That's the third component. When the deal is the problem, you know, the opportunity is the umbrella term for scope and the pricing expectations, whether or not there's a value conversation here or whether or not it's price only, whether or not they're indicating like, we just don't have the dollars in our budget to do anything more than what we're doing right now. Is it timing? You get an RFP or a request to quote, and it's due in 2 days. You have no intel about the property. You've never had a chance to walk it, talk with the people, really explore the opportunity, get a pulse check on the chemistry that exists in the building, because every building is different, whether you're working inside or out. What's the expectation of the tenants? Who's the owner? All those types of things. Is there transactional risk? I mean, transition risk, rather. There's chase costs in there, and then the risk to actually change service providers can sometimes be a very clunky thing if you don't have full possession of the tribal knowledge that comes, you know, with the incumbent. Does it feel rushed, or just improperly or poorly structured RFP? that just gives no Q&A. There is no final, best and final. There is no, presentation opportunity. Maybe it's the wrong opportunity. So you have those three things: the wrong client, the wrong property, the wrong opportunity. And 2 out of 3 could be the right ones, but the third one may taint the deal. So you just need to be cognizant as to what is the universe and the makeup of the right business that is right for your business. Who pays the price when you do win with the wrong client, the wrong property, the wrong opportunity? Your best clients actually lose out because all your attention went to the wrong client, the wrong business. You're slower to respond to them, and your consistency starts to wane. That's with your best clients. They feel the brunt of it. Like, what are you doing over there when you need to be kind of with us? Don't you want to expand with us? So be recognizing of just market share and revenue doesn't mean it's good business. Your team also suffers. They get frustrated with having to do something for a lower pay rate, or they're not given the bandwidth or the time to actually do a proper job. They've got to move to 3 other properties just to kind of make their nut. And then you risk the burnout. They can only put up with so much, and they're ready to be looking for another 50-cent raise down the street. 50 cents is all it'll take, and you may lose them. You're going to get confusion and then obvious turnover. Your company pays the price. Your company. You start to get a reputation of people who will start to play in that low bid game, in which case, just give it to them. They'll do it for that. Don't worry about that. That's a reputation if you're smart. And if you're really thinking about the long game, you don't want to be playing in that pool. You want to be playing in the pool that your name doesn't automatically come to mind when it comes to a low price opportunity. There's capacity and reputational risk, of your company. But the biggest thing is you miss out on all the goodies, all the good opportunities, all your best clients. And those are expanding just as much as the smaller ones, though. So don't be rushing to judgment with respect to chasing business that may not be right for you and your team. Finally, you pay the price. You have more stress, you have more load, less freedom, and now you have to do more damage control, and you have to make excuses to the best clients as to why you're not there for them when you said you would be. So there's a decent price to pay. The opportunity filter, this is something that I encourage you to put on. So be thinking about who's the right client and have the right client fit. Do we respect these people? This is the individual. Do they value partnership, or is it just a pricing game? Do they have a good reputation? And that could be the client individual and the client PMC, the company. Is it the right property fit? Does it meet our geographic sweet spot? Can we serve it profitably? That's the key. If you can't do it profitably, all you're in it for is market share. And that's, in my opinion, dumb. Does it fit our capabilities? Is it too much of a stretch to add this additional service? And nobody really wants to say no to anybody, but there's a difference between smartly declining an opportunity or haphazardly saying yes. So just be careful about that. And then the opportunity fit. Is the scope clear and in your wheelhouse? Is their budget realistic, or they're just asking you to do it for something a little bit less than what you might otherwise price it as? How's the timing? Is it a 2-day turnaround, or are you given a week, 2 weeks, 10 days, what have you, to actually get your arms around it, have your team take a look at it, talk about it, propose, in the responsible way? And then can you create measurable value? And that's the biggest key. Can you create a message and illustrate the totality of your value so that price, this continues to be the sole point of focus? So I call this sizing things up. So can you size up before you sign up? And then you'll be a lot better off. There's time wasted there. Now listen, if you're twiddling your thumbs waiting for the phone to ring and the phone rings with all of the wrong attributes, then the temptation is some business is better than no business. That's a temptation. But you're going to have to be careful, because as soon as the right business comes along and you're mired in the muck of the wrong business, it's hard to switch over without making a bunch of excuses And there's some switching costs there. Your team now has to refocus on something new, something fresh, something good. However, now you've kind of said you do something and you couldn't follow through. So that's making and keeping commitments, and that's something that can damage your reputation, because that person, even though they might have been at the wrong company or the wrong property or what have you, they remember. So your handling or mishandling of opportunities is going to be a big one. So the right growth question is, should we win it? The right business allows you to serve exceptionally well. This is your best stuff. You don't want to hold anything back. It allows you to have the freedom to do a high quality job, and then you're able to protect your profitability, and you strengthen, you embolden, you empower your team to do even better work, build a respected reputation, because that reputation will spread. Not as bad, not as quickly as a bad reputation, as a mistake, or as a, I can't believe this. Can you believe that company would do that? That reputation spreads quickly. But if you have a solid reputation and you ask enough people, you get solid feedback that says, yeah, you can count on them. That's where you want to be. That's your sweet spot there. Preserve your bandwidth. If you want to do a quality job, you have to have the team with the right consciousness, the right attitude, and the right ability and capacity to do the quality work and not feel rushed because they're spread so thin. And then that's how you create lasting client value. And that's what the name of the game is. It's not about price, it's about value. And so it's definitely not about winning more business, it's about winning more of the right business. So market share is not the goal. Aligned growth is the goal. So if you got the right fit client, the right fit opportunities, the right fit properties, those are the ones that create the atmosphere for increased confidence, increased profitability, increased partnership, increased momentum, and yes, sustainable growth. So before you sell the opportunity, size up the opportunity. Gip Erskine, values-driven coaching, and I appreciate the value of your time. I'll see you in the next video. Cut.